In this video, I would like to find the distance from the point 4, 1, -2 to the line x equals 1 plus t, y equals to 3 minus 2t, and z equals to 4 minus 3t. The parametric equation of the line is given, and the point with 3 coordinates, emphasizing that the point is in a space. Okay, so first I'm driving the formula for the general case, and then we apply the point and the line into the formula. Okay, so let's start by graphing an arbitrary line. Let me call it the line L. And we are given the point P on this space, and the point is, for example, here is 4, 1, and then -2. Okay, I'm trying to find this distance in here. Let me call it D. And if we have the point P0 in here, D is basically the length of the vector P0, right? The magnitude of this vector would be the distance from the point P to the line L. Okay, how can I find this D? I can pick an arbitrary point in here. Let me call it Q. And Q is basically when I plug in t equals to 0 in my line. This is just an arbitrary point in here. Why do I do that? Just because I want to make a vector in here. Let me call it A. The vector Q, P is the vector A. Now, look at this right triangle in here. So, I have a right triangle, and the triangle is P0, Q, and P. P0, Q, and P. If I look at this right triangle, and I call this angle theta, D would be the hypotenuse times sine theta, right? So D is equal to the hypotenuse here. It would be the length of the vector A. Be A sine theta. I can find the length of this vector because A is basically from Q to P, and it's the magnitude of this vector. Basically, since Q was an arbitrary point, after I plug in, for example, t equals to 0 into my equation, I got a point. I have a point in here. I have P. I can make this vector, and the length of that vector would be the length of A. So that's clear. What should I do about sine theta? Let's have a recall of the cross product. If I have just a vector A, I have another vector B, the cross product of these two vectors is a vector that is perpendicular to both. That's a cross product vector. But basically, the length of this vector would be the length of A, the length of B, times sine theta, where theta is the angle between these two. So the magnitude of the vector is a number, the length of A is a number, the length of B is a number, and I have sine theta. So that's perfect. So I can find the sine theta by dividing the magnitude of the cross product over the multiplication of the magnitude of both vectors. Okay, so sine theta in here would be the cross product of A with another vector. I need another vector. How can I find this? Basically, if I consider the point P0, it would be a little hard to find. It's just because P0 would be exactly the intersection of the line L with the line that is perpendicular to L. So it's a little bit of work, which I don't need it for finding the sine theta. So I just pick one arbitrary point, let me call it R, where R is the line at t equals 1. So now I have a vector in here. Let me call this vector the vector b. Okay, so sine theta in here would be the length of the cross product of two vectors a and b over the magnitude of both. Great. So in that case, d was the length of a times the length of the cross product, which is a number. Length of a, length of b. I can cancel out this. So I have a formula for d, which is a cross b, the length of that over the length of b. So I have a general formula to find distance from, actually let me call it between a point P and a line L. So to do that, we need to pick 2 points on the line. Let me call them at t equals to 0, let me call it Q. And at t equals to 1, let me call it R. Make 2 vectors. The vector A would be Q, P, where P is the given point, and the vector B would be Q, R. Okay, the vector between the 2 arbitrary points that you found, and then D is A cross B over the length of B. Okay, now for this specific example, let's pick 2 points at t equals to 0. I'm picking the point Q, which is just plugging 0 in here. I get 1, 3, 4. Let's pick another point at t equals to 1 to make the point R. So when I plug in 1 in here, I get 2, and then I get 3 minus 2 is 1, and then I guess 4 minus 3 is also 1. Now I need to make the vectors A. So A would be QP, this vector, and so the coordinates of the endpoint minus the coordinates of the beginning point is giving me the vector A. So 4, 1, negative 2 minus the beginning point, which would be 1, 3, and 4 here. So I get 3, negative 2, and then negative 6. For the vector B, B is another vector, which would be the beginning point R minus the end point R minus the beginning point Q. So I have 2, 1, 1 minus Q, which would be negative 1, negative 3, and then negative 4. So I have 1, negative 2, and negative 3. And now I need to find this formula. So I have A cross B that I need to find. A cross B would be the cross product, would be the determinant of a big matrix, 3 by 3. On the first row, I have RJK. Second row, I have the coordinates of A, which would be 3, negative 2, negative 6. Then I have the coordinates of B, to the 1, negative 2, and then negative 3. And I need to find this determinant, which would be I times this minor in here, After I remove the row and the column that is containing I left with this minor here, so it would be -2 times -3, which would be 6 minus -2 times -6, it would be 12. Then minus j, I'm going to remove the row and column containing j. I left with this minor in here, which would be 3 times -3, which would be -9, minus -6 times 1. It would be -6, so it would be +6, and then plus k, and the minor would be 3 times -2, which would be -6, minus -2 times 1, which would be -2. So this vector in here would be -6. This is -3. I have another negative, it would be +3, and then I get -4. So D would be the length of this vector, which would be a fraction. The length of the vector would be -6 squared, which would be 36. Actually, let me write all the steps, plus 3 squared plus -4 squared over the length of the vector B. Where is B? Is here. The length of this vector would be 1 squared plus -2 squared plus -3 squared. So D would be square root of 36 plus 9 plus 16. So 16 and 9, 25, plus 36, this is 61 over square root in here, the 1 plus 4 plus 9, 14.